Colac's Tobyn Murray was selected by the Fremantle Dockers with pick 40 in last month's national AFL draft. He had toiled away at Geelong VFL for 2 years and missed out on 4 different drafts already. For almost the entirety of the season, there were no draft whispers for the 20-year-old, but by the end of the year, the interest had ballooned out of nowhere. Today I sat down with him and found out what really happened. Firstly, Tobes, what's it like to be a Fremantle Docker?
It's pretty cool, Coop. Yeah. It's sort of a dream come true. Yeah. And to be honest with you, I couldn't be more happy to land at Fremantle, which is pretty cool. And this club's been super welcoming and can't wait to put on the purple and white, which is pretty exciting, to be honest. Yeah,
that's great, mate. I mean, it's been a whirlwind sort of 12 months for you, sort of up and down and all the rest of it. I want to talk about how you got there. Based on what I know, by the end of the season, I believe it was August the 17th was the last game of the year. Yep. From what I know, Geelong and West Coast were the ones that had interest in you. How were you feeling about the draft at that stage of the year, and what did the level of interest look like at that stage?
Yeah, it's interesting because through the first half of the year, sort of had no interest, and I have those kids that get a bit of interest from a few clubs, and it sort of perks them up a little bit to know that they have a chance. For me, it sort of didn't come till late. Yeah, basically last game of the year. After that, maybe a couple of days after, I had my exit interview with my coaches, and they mentioned that a few clubs had reached out, and at that stage it was just Geelong and West Coast. Asked for GPS data and some game data and stuff like that, but it didn't come until maybe sort of early September, where I had a few more clubs reach out, and my manager got around and did some groundwork, and then had 4 or 5 more clubs reach out and gained some more interest, which is good. But it's still a bit nervy because you're sort of very unknown with what's going to happen and that sort of thing. But as the sort of time went on towards the draft in November, I got more and more confident, and every meeting I had with my manager afterwards was a bit more, confidence in me to have confidence that I'm going to get picked up, and it might happen for me. But it was a slow process. It was a very slow 2 months for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. It amazes me how you can stop playing footy and then all of a sudden the interest sort of blossoms out of nowhere once you're not playing. As you said, between the end of the season and the draft, another 4 reached out. It was Fremantle, Port Adelaide, Carlton, Essendon. How do you think the interest ballooned from there, and where do you think that came from?
I think it just came off the back of being a mature ager. I think they're really interested in sort of recruiting wise. They're really interested in the kids coming through the draft as an 18-year-old. I think they don't really need a whole lot of knowledge about mature ages because they've seen you and followed you the last couple of years. For example, Fremantle told me they'd been following me for a couple of years, and since Top Age Falcons, and same with Port Adelaide when I had the meeting with them. It's sort of a bit of a whirlwind in a sense, but I think it came off the back of a couple of good games, and clubs were sort of just waiting. And I had a couple of clubs, for example, Port Adelaide and Essendon, I believe, both sort of showed interest really early towards my manager and sort of reached out, but they didn't they took their time getting through the process of everyone else before getting to me. So I was kind of sitting there waiting for those phone calls to come through. And but once I sort of had a chat with them, it was pretty smooth sailing from there. Yeah,
definitely. And most people watching won't ever sit in a draft interview. They got no idea what it looks like, but it's always fascinating to hear stories coming out of those interviews. We've spoken before, and you said it looked a little bit different as a mature age prospect compared to a 18-year-old. Walk us through, if you've got a club that you can speak on, who's sitting in on those interviews and what do they look like?
So typically the interviews I had were, 3 or 4 recruiters in there, and there's usually someone in the background typing up notes on the computer, which is a little bit daunting, but all interviews are really different. Speaking from a sense with Carlton, it was quite serious and very formal, and sort of very straight to the point with questions, whereas your interview with Fremantle was, quite chilled out,
Yeah, okay.
relaxing. But I think that comes off the back of the personalities from the recruiters.
Yeah.
But there's some serious questions in there, as well as some, just really getting to know you, and especially as a mature ager, they're not really throwing up any dodgy questions or anything like that. So they're sort of more just getting to know you, but there is a few questions there that try and sort of throw you off or not. But that's all getting to know your personality and how you react to things. But my interviews were quite smooth and very, very relaxing, but which is probably a positive.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Fremantle, the club that picked you up, run me through the sort of timeline of when you spoke with them, how often did you speak with them, and who was there at each of those times? Yeah,
so I first got contact with Fremantle through my manager maybe 2 weeks after the last round of the game of the year. And that was quite clear. They sort of said, look, we're actually quite interested, and this was before even sitting down with me. And so we organised a testing day out at Maribyrnong where I tested with a couple of the boys and did the combine testing. So like a yo-yo and 20-metre sprint and agility and stuff like that, sort of get some numbers. And from there, you sort of have a little bit of a meeting with the all the recruiters there when they sit back and watch. And then sort of after that, had no real contact, but it was very, they were very clear with what they wanted. And they, from the start, they always said they were very interested. And they were looking at me as a sort of a rookie pick at the start. But then they sort of realised how much interest I'd gained from other clubs and with, what they're sort of wanting at their club. And they found that I was a pretty good fit, which is good to hear. And so for them, it was very, they sort of committed to it, and it's awesome to sort of see it through but from both ends. And I had a conversation with the recruiters after the day after I got drafted. They come down to home and had a coffee, and they said, we're so happy to get you, and it's good to make two ends meet, because it was sort of my priority to go to Freo as well, and saw an opening there, which is great. So. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, a couple of weeks before the draft, you and I spoke, and you said that your interest, your level of interest had led you to think you could go from a rookie pick to late in that national draft, and that's exactly what eventuated, and it was brilliant. But talk us through your conversations with your manager, Lockie, about how that feeling changed, where you could go earlier in the draft.
Yeah, it was interesting, because you sort of sit there and you're like, you don't want to ask too much questions and just sort of let it happen. But Lockie gave me pretty good confidence at the start. He said, look, we're looking at about a rookie pick, and he was pretty confident in a rookie pick. And then sort of as the weeks went on leading up to the draft, and especially early November, he said, look, you've got some good interest there, and you're looking more like a late national now, which is awesome and was good to hear. And it was sort of just a bit of a waiting game, but as a lead up to the draft through November, it was definitely more looking like a late national through your clubs like Fremantle, Geelong, Carlton or Port Adelaide. So we had a few options there, which we were hoping, but we always knew that Freo had a pretty early pick, and they were going to use it. And but I got some good confidence and knew that if they didn't get Adam Swade at their first pick at pick 25, I think I was next in line. So may have went a bit earlier, but pick 25, pick 40 is the same thing. So
definitely. I've been told that you had a good feeling around that pick number 40. There was some good clubs in line there, on draft night. If you've got that idea in your head, can you let us inside your mind and into what you were thinking sort of on that night?
Yeah, so I caught up with Lockie, my manager, morning of, after I finished work actually, and I was tempted to take the day off work just to go do something random and relax, but I thought I'd distract myself at work. So had a catch up with Lockie, and we sort of sat down and we sort of went through everything and all the scenarios that could pan out. And he sort of gave me some pretty good confidence throughout the conversation that it's looking like 95% chance going to happen for me that night, which was the night of the national, which is pretty cool. But it's still there was a very long day for me, to be honest. As relaxing as you try and be, it's still very nerve-wracking. And if I'm being honest, Lockie did tell me that if if I made it to pick 40, they were going to take me, which is pretty cool to know.
That's amazing.
And I sort of had a bit of a smile on my face, but you're still very unknown, and the uncertainty of you hear those stories and then doesn't end up happening. But yeah, it's really good to have all the family and friends around, little tight group. I didn't want to go too big in case, but it's good to have them around. And but still, the night of, I was still had sweat patches under my arms and a bit anxious, but it happened in the end, and never gone from a worse feeling to the better feeling in the span of a half a second, which is pretty cool.
That's amazing.
But it was still quite anxious, and
So Fremantle reached out to your manager Lockie and told them that they were going to take you at that pick if you were there. Is that how that?
Yeah, that's
worked?
correct. Yeah, so they reached out and they said, look, we're gonna get him. He's on our board, and at number one, unfortunately they couldn't trade a pick to get in front of Geelong or Carlton, who had two earlier picks, who may have had shown a bit of interest. So they couldn't trade in front, but they said if I'd made it there, that they're most likely going to take me, and so made two ends meet. Yeah,
easy. And you said Fremantle was a priority for you. Yep. When you look at their list profile, what makes you say that?
I just think they, as you can see with the draft this year, they've sort of targeted that sort of high forward. They drafted 3 or 4 forwards. So for me, it was opening around the forward line and my position and what I play on the field. So I think if you looked at the list of clubs that were interested, other than maybe Carlton, because they had a few small forward spots, I sort of, you want to go somewhere where you're going to get a bit of opportunity, and I thought Freo was a great fit. I know you can't choose where you want to go, but I sort of, Freo was a priority for me, and also the life experience of getting out, meeting new people, getting away from home, and like I said earlier, can't be more happier to go over to Freo, and it's such a great place and awesome club.
And then I suppose Geelong, being your home club in terms of an AFL sense, they had shown interest in you, and I've been told that they called the day before the draft. At what point in time, what can they learn, or what do they want to know at that stage where they're calling your manager a day out from the draft?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's hard to get a gauge. Geelong are very quiet with how they go about their things, and they obviously pick quite well based on the last 10, 20, 30 years of drafting. But it's sort of quite still unknown. Wellesley reached out to Lockie and sort of said we're interested, but doesn't give too much away. It would have been pretty cool to go to the club you've sort of grown up being around, and a very easy transition from VFL to AFL. But obviously weren't looking for, me at that sort of point in time, and went the other way.
Yeah, definitely. All right, mate, I want to show you a video that you would have seen 100 times, but I want to just hear your thoughts on it. Obviously a pretty special moment for yourself. You just want to hit play there.
Yeah, of course.
Plays. Turn her up.
With pick 40, Fremantle have selected Tobyn Murray.
It's pretty cool. I find myself watching it a fair few times over and over. The best thing about this video is not only the emotion you can see on my face when I hug Mum, but to see the emotion of my dad, to sort of celebrate the way he did, and go from screaming to yelling to sort of a bit emotional in the background, and it's pretty special to it's such a surreal moment, and it still doesn't sit in my head that it actually happened. But I do catch myself looking back at that video, and to see the emotion of my whole family and my mates, and especially mum and dad, riding the journey as close as anyone with me, and I guess as you can tell, the emotion, it just shows how much it means to me and my family, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought out your old man, because I've got this for you. Obviously, Nathan, very cult figure here at Central Reserve, but he sent me through that. And
it's awesome.
What do you tell me about that?
Isn't it?
How you feel when you look at that?
It's pretty cool. I remember this day. Dad would say the same story. I remember waking up about 5:30 in the morning, and obviously on the weekend, and his dad was still asleep. He's working hard during the week and trying to get a bit of a sleep in. And I remember knocking on the door and saying, "Dad, hurry up, let's go." And I reckon I slept in the Collingwood gear that I got on, to be honest. It's pretty cool.
Tell me about
awesome.
your relationship with him. Obviously, coached you at the Geelong Falcons for a long time there, but obviously your father as well, and a very good player himself. So has a great footy brain. Yeah, tell me about your relationship with him as a coach, but then also as your father.
I have a lot of respect for my dad, as much as anyone, from a footy standpoint, and also as a father. And he's definitely my best mate off the field, and it was interesting, the scenario with him coaching at Falcons, and I think he was very good, and had a conversation with the coaches at Falcons when I sort of come through my bottom age and top age year, and sort of wanted to take a step back, and sort of be out of the big picture, and although he's chasing his ambitions of coaching, for him to do that as well is just shows how much he cares, and I think he just wanted to do what was best for me, and it was interesting when we got to training, and I'm sure when you were around in the top age year, and when he's coaching, he's sort of a coach to me, and as soon as we finish, he's my father. But he got quite good at balancing the father figure and coaching figure quite well. But yeah, he's I wouldn't be where I am today without him, that's for sure. And even just away from footy, he's quite an intelligent man, and someone I look up to. And you talk about your hero, and him and Mum are definitely my hero, and I love him to bits.
Yeah, well, I spoke with him for a story a couple of weeks ago, and talking about his career, and he said that you were very driven and self-motivated, and sort of paved your own path. What did you go to him with? What did you ask of him? And what advice were you sort of seeking out?
Yeah, I suppose I've always had that self-drive and willingness to work hard, but I think that came from him. He was always sort of a pretty hard worker on the tools, and growing up, he always said it's never going to come easy to you, and you got to work for it. And so I think he was very good in giving advice in, especially the last 2 years, missing out on the draft, top age Falcons, and you got to do a full-time job outside school and try and focus on footy and try and sort of get to the end result. But he was very good in giving advice on just continuing to work hard, and that my journey is going to be different to other people's. I think if you ask him, he's always had that belief. He always knew I was going to get there, no matter whether I was 20, 22 or 24. So he was always just told me to keep working hard, and sort of just continue to keep hunger there to strive for your dreams and your goals. And I think you can kind of see that with his background and what went through his career, with sort of not going after that dream as probably as much as he could have, and taking the opportunity. So I think he's sort of living his life through mine in a sense. So he really wanted to see that through, and I think I'm living his dream just as much as mine. So
definitely. Yes, obviously Nathan, a champion of the Colac Tigers. I want to talk about your relationship with this footy club. Obviously a junior here, known all your footy here. When you look out there, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's pretty special. I think, especially I remember running around over there. There used to be some old change rooms over there, and an old shipping container we used to kick behind them. We were about 5 or 6 years old, and a lot of memories at this ground, running out there and jump in the middle. There used to be a mud pit out in the middle, so it's pretty special. Grew up at the same club, play all junior footy through there, and then debuted down at Newtown when I was 16. Got to wear the number 2, which is the number Dad obviously wore for his career, and which was very special. And to obviously spend the last few years here and sort of develop and not know where my footy was going to go. I was always pretty happy to, spend my time here, and the relationships you build here with the people, and one of the coolest things is probably, you grow up about 10, 11, 12 watching these senior boys and you think, how cool is this, in a sense, and then you end up playing with a few of them, which is pretty cool. And the club's been awesome, and such a cool experience to grow up and be at the same club. So it's definitely pretty special to me and also Dad.
Yeah, definitely. If I take you back to the start of 2024, you were playing with Geelong VFL and a couple of games there, and it was an amazing start, a flurry of goals, and then you get injured. You have that time off, and then you're squeezed out of the side because of AFL guys being fit, and there's no room on that list. How did that make you feel then? And then what was it like coming back here?
Yeah, it was very interesting. It's kind of it's hard. Knowing that you do the full pre-season with Geelong VFL, and they sort of say, yeah, look, we love what you're about, and guarantee sort of games early. And then I obviously played those few games and had a few good games, and I thought maybe I set myself up for the year of showing Geelong what I can do. And then had those young guns games and performed pretty well in them, and then sort of had that back injury, which sort of set me back a little bit, and missed out on the draft. And then obviously coming back here was a bit, your first sort of game leading up to it, you're sort of a bit down, and you're like, oh, I think I deserve to be at Geelong VFL, which I did, especially off my first few games. I thought I definitely deserved a spot there, but in hindsight, I think it's definitely taught me that nothing's going to come easy, and you sort of got to work for it. And with the way the VFL set up is, with AFL boys coming back in, it's a bit hard to break into the team sometimes. But to come back here and end up having a few good games, and I think that was off the back of maybe a bit of frustration, sort of wanted to show them that I'm worthy enough for a few games, and ended up having a pretty good couple of games back here. I think I played 8 or 9 for the season here. But managed to play a couple more games later in the year, but not as much as I would have liked. But I think it's all, it's all stepping stones to, to learn, and it makes you more hungrier, I think.
Definitely.
I think there's been a common theme with my career so far has been, little setbacks that make you hungrier to get back and prove people wrong, which has sort of been something I've stuck with the last couple of years is that, proving people wrong sort of piece. And I still think, I want to prove a lot of people wrong, and the people that look past me. But it's all stepping stones, and I really did enjoy my time here, and definitely playing with my brother, which is, it's hard to explain that feeling, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
definitely. And your long-time friend, Will McLaughlin, he was drafted in that time span, watching him get to fulfill the dream that I imagine you had as well. What was the feeling like there? I imagine there were elements of frustration, but also happiness seeing that happen.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like I mentioned earlier, sort of, I lived my dream through him in a sense. Yeah. And I couldn't be more happy for him as my best mate, and to see him and the way his career is going is awesome. But if you're being honest, when your best mate's name gets called out and you get missed out, it's a little bit of element of jealousy and anger and frustration, and but I think Will deserved it more than anyone based off the year he had, and he's always had that talent there for sure. So I think it's pretty special now. I actually haven't seen him yet. I'm going to see him, catching up with him tomorrow, which is pretty special. But I haven't seen him to sort of be around him and know that we're both on an AFL list, which is pretty cool. So that'll be awesome.
And just lastly, mate, what are you looking to achieve next year? What are the goals? What can you do as an AFL player? Yeah,
I think, to be honest with you, getting your name called out for me is a bit different to your 18-year-old sort of kids, and it might be a sort of a dream come true, and it is for me as well. But I think for me, I've just got my foot in the door. I think I've been given an opportunity to open up my career, and I'm hungrier than ever, and been trying to train the house down, I'll train super hard to earn the respect of my teammates first of all, and then for me, my aspirations are, you know, put myself up for selection, and hopefully through hard work, I'll get a few games and see what happens from there. But yeah, for me, I'm just gonna work hard and try and perform when I can, and you know, the opportunity will present off the back of some good footy and you know, sticking to a bit of hard work.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
Yeah.
Well, wishing you all the best.
Thanks, Coop.
Good luck with it all, mate.
Thank you very
Good
much.
on you.
Appreciate it.